amazing. I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. One day, when we're getting wrinkly and our hair's grey, a rusty old banger in the driveway, one of us will maybe wear a toupee, but I will be in love with you.
Who knows for a damn fact that you are absolutely amazing with a raise of hands? I want to see all of you, both hands and your head. That's awesome. That's awesome, you guys. We're gonna have a stellar training today. And before I'm gonna announce what we're gonna do and how we're going to do practical work together, I first actually would love to hear some wins, because some of you are now in week 7 of the academy, some of you are in week 3 of the academy, and stuff is landing. Maybe stuff like new information, new breakthroughs, new insights also create more confusion, you know, like that's part of the journey. So I'd love to hear from you. Like, what are some wins that you've encountered already? Carolyn.
Good morning, everybody. I'm working on my launch, and I've had a script that I kind of did a soft launch in January, but it was pretty icky. And so I have a whole lot more information now. I have a lot more tools. And last night I went through my entire script and I added stories. And I went through my library. And I love that. I've actually told everybody, I said, oh my God, this is the coolest thing. You just sit there and start writing from first grade to second grade to third. And then you just sort of look for the bullet points. And I've added stories I get a break about every 6 or 7 minutes. I do a story, a short story, sometimes a little bit longer. But I can see the value in it. It really, when you're going to yawn, you won't come up with a cool story. So that is my aha moment. I'm like so into it now. Maybe I've done too many. I don't know, but
that's amazing. And who here already started to build their story library as well? And every time you're going through life, you're like, oh, wait a minute. What if this is a story? What if today is a story? What if you prompt yourself with what stories can I distill from today? But what I heard from you, Carolyn, is like first grade, second grade, fourth grade, right? You can give yourself prompts. Like, for example, if I would ask you, we're not going to do that right now, but this is what you can do, is when you think of the word plant, I see the plant behind me. It's growing like crazy, like a plant mom right now. Is when you focus on the word plant, like what stories come up for you? And I'm not asking you to come up with stories around plants, but maybe the word plant associates the word plan, and you're like, oh, I was planning this. I was planning my trip to America. Like, and the association is going to help you out. The same you can do with pasta. The same you can do with travel. Like, give yourself a prompt and just like let your mind come up with everything you forgot, but now you remember because you associate it to a word. And that can be a really nice tool to get stories out, to get it into your story library. So outcome, when we are crafting your through line, right, when you have your one-on-one moment where we're going to focus on that together, that will be the moment where I'm also going to probably ask you, like, please show your story library and let's pick the right stories. Or if you have a question, Lori, what's like, do you think I picked the right stories? I'll be like, okay, let's pull up your blueprint, right? Let's pull up your folder. Let's see what decisions you made and why I understand them, or where I think we can tweak them based on this decision. And therefore, you're not just having one epic script, but you're actually understanding how to build this, and then also how to change it when you feel it needs to. So beautiful, beautiful win. Linda.
Hi, everyone. So my win, well, adding on to Carolyn, when I was doing my speech, the one thing I did was I have a lot of stories in my story library, but I even remembered more as I was doing my speech that I was able to incorporate. So that was pretty cool because I had the mindset. The big win for me is I think I finally finished redoing this for I don't know how many times over the last couple of weeks. And Lori, I appreciate you making me redo it in the present tense. It does make a big difference. So, and I also got it down to less than 12 minutes, which is huge. So I don't have to bore everybody. So we're good. So that's my win.
That's amazing. And I love that we're creating more and more wins also on process level, right? It's amazing to get on stage, to get out in front of a lot of people. But in the end, when you're really understanding how this framework works and how to utilize it, what I'm hearing you say, Linda, and this is what we talked last week, right? In our training, is when you have a story and everything in the story you tell like it's past tense. So for example, Linda, you were sharing, I was at the hospital. My brother was sick. He had diabetes. And now you changed it to, so when I was 12, I am in the hospital. So you time travel to the past, but you're re-experiencing it in the present. And maybe on a intellectual level, you're like, I get it. But then, and this is the fun part, because this has a lot to do with the comfort zone of speaking. Because it's way easier, and now I'm going to throw some fancy words, but to dissociate yourself from that setting. To say that happened back then. And sometimes it's really scary to relive that moment because that means X, Y, and Z. Right? So we can understand it, but to actually apply it, it also levels us up as a person and levels up our comfort to talk about some stuff that most probably might be uncomfortable to talk about, but also deliver the biggest transformation for your audience. So that's a huge, huge, huge win. And today we're going to build on to that further, because today is, for some people in the group, the last week before you're going to speak live. And for the other people in this group, this is a beautiful, beautiful moment to, in the moment, envision yourself being on that stage as well and learning from a lot of stories at the same time. So what we're going to do today is we're going to watch together another speech of one of the people in this group. And every single one of you is going to focus on a different lens. Remember, every time we add new lenses and we train the muscle of that next level lens, the more we're capable of doing that for ourselves as well. So what I want to show you before we do that is what next week is going to look like, whether you're going to speak or whether you're going to observe. Okay, so with a raise of hands, who's going to speak next week? Look at that. Look at that. All those people are like, it's not me yet. Right? What they're feeling is what you're going to feel in 4 weeks from now. So when you're speaking, what is going to happen is that you will be in a backstage of a streaming platform where we as a host will introduce you and you will go one after the other after the other. Now, who's not speaking next week with a raise of hands? The rest. Who's excited to not only celebrate your peers, but also to look through the lens of, okay, now I'm not just seeing one example, I'm seeing 3 examples. When I want to dial in my hook, I have 3 examples in a row of people who are implementing a hook based on how they interpreted their information. What stories do they use? Do they use different stories, or is it like one whole storyline? How are they using it? Better yet, how can you get inspiration and write it down right for yourself so you can implement and create your own video, which then we will discuss in our one-on-one prep session so we get you ready for your speaking engagement. And just for the idea of what it's going to look like for when people are watching, this is what it looks like. Just feel a little cool, okay? Who's ready to feel a little cool? Because this is pretty cool. Look. There's an official page with your face on it where people will go to and they're able to read more about who you are as a speaker, right? So this is like a whole official place where, as a speaker or as a not speaker, you can also, let me see if I'm sharing the right screen right now. Yeah, perfect. You can also invite people to come watch you speak. So there's a whole system set up that you just have to share this link that you will get in the WhatsApp. And the people who are speaking already got it in their email. And they're able to sign up to watch you speak. So they can just secure their spot, invite themselves, and they get the email information that's necessary for them to get the right link, the right information. So just know that as a speaker, you can invite your own audience, whether that is friends, family, but also maybe potential clients. And if you're not speaking, you're still able to invite people. So if you just want to kind of share like, oh, this is where I'm going to be in 4 years. Do you already want to check it out with me together? That's also possible. Okay. So I just want to give that perspective. When you're speaking next week, you will be in the streaming platform. When you're watching next week, it will be a little different. We won't start in the Zoom. You'll actually look at the streaming yourself. You're going to get the right links in the right way. You totally got it. And then what I want you to do is I want you to put up your document, which all of you are able to do literally right now as well, because we're going to watch the speech, is when you're listening to them, write notes on your own blueprint about, okay, what can you learn? What can you learn? How do you want to implement this? How afterwards can you maybe give some feedback to the people who did their talk? What went incredibly well? And what might be one needle mover for the next round? Right? And then when everybody had their moment, we all come back into this Zoom screen and we evaluate it together. All right? So I just want to mention that you get all the information through email as well, but then you know what you can expect. Any questions? No? Then are we ready to watch a video of someone of this group who shared a video in perfectly perfect, and we're gonna watch it all together, and we're all going to pick the lens that we're gonna look through. So if you feel, okay, Lori, I still really want to make sure that I am clear on my aim for my talk and the teaching points of my talk. Like, what are those 3 teaching points? If that's the one, you're going to pick group number 1. All right. If you rather focus on level number 2, and you're like, okay, I want to focus on, if I would pull up this person's story library, I would be able to fill it in based on the talk. I want to get better in recognizing stories, applying stories for my own keynote, for my own story, so I can pick the right one, so I understand if it's credibility, if it's coolness, if it's community, if it's in the right order, everything around stories. That would be level 2. Level 3 is glue it all together. How are they opening? How are they closing? How are they transitioning from one to another? Right? These are the main 3 levels. Then there's level 4, which is a little bit more advanced. Once you get these 3 in order, then we start to look at number 4, the optimization of the delivery. These 4 steps, by the way, are the exact same steps in the course, right? So I'm not making up anything new. This is what you already know. Level 4 is, for example, do they use dialogue versus just speaking? Do they say, and I'm quoting Linda's, my brother, or like, what did you say? Yeah, who remembers the boy encounter? Right, everybody, because that was so vivid. So instead of saying, I saw a nice person and I thought, maybe being a nurse is not so bad. Versus, right, where I'm actually already applying it. It's hard for me to undo it. Like, and then I had a nice boy encounter. That would be version 1, or version 2 would be, I know you changed it because you listened to feedback. That's so awesome about you. So okay, version 1 would be, I had a nice boy encounter. Version B would be, and when I walking in the hallway, I saw a boy. I'm like, this might not be a bad place to hang out more time anyways, or something along the lines of these. So it's about specificity, about being in the present, about using a dialogue. That's step number 4. So who of you would love to focus on level 1 with a raise of hands? Naomi? Yeah, perfect. Perfect, you're level 1. Who would love to focus on level 2, the stories, with a raise of hands? Patrice? We can have more than one, huh? You can choose whatever you feel is more important to you. You want to do that too, Carolyn? You want to do number 3? Who wants to do number 3? Glue it all together. Oh, we've got a lot of them. Beautiful, beautiful. Right, this is the evolution. Right, we want to start with the aim, want to go to the stories, and some point you're like gluing it all together. Okay, so we have Carolyn, Linda, and Jackie, and Mari focusing on the glue. Nilsa, you're focusing on the optimization? Perfect. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna watch this video all together. I'm gonna pause it, as you know, and we're gonna pause it, and then we're gonna reflect on everybody's lens. All right, with the outcome, and I cannot stress this enough, this is not for you, oh, this is so fun to learn. It is fun to learn. It's amazingly fun to learn. But it's with the outcome, so you have a talk that you feel proud of. All right, so look through that lens. Let's go. Oh, by the way, can we get a drum roll because we don't know yet who it is gonna be? It's Nilsa! Let's go.
Thank you, Lori.
You got
The
it.
decision to challenge our thinking sparks creativity, and that's how we build businesses. There is a feeling so powerful when we make the decision to invest in ourselves, because we are really preparing to serve others. And that is how we become leaders in our industry. Have you ever done something so routine, so familiar, and yet suddenly, in a different state, you receive a transformation worth sharing? So basically, you do the same thing that you have always done, but then you feel different. You have more energy, you're more positive, and somehow you get this insight from it. Do you relate? It happened to me a few weeks ago. I am on my way to Charleston to meet with Barry Baumgartner and 29 other entrepreneurs, where we're going to define our offer, content, and message. As usual, I am doing many things to be able to leave. I am behind on packing and running late to the airport. The dialogue in my head is running fast. You must play full out. You must ask questions and complete the goals. I knew what I had to do. Just needed to make sure I got myself in the right state. And thank goodness for the innovation like PSA and Clear. I was able to go through security and arrive at my gate just in time when they started boarding my zone. As I boarded the plane and sat at my seat, I started scanning like a journalist, searching for a story. The passengers are coming through with kids and pets, and I'm really excited for this. I looked over at the woman next to me. She was enjoying a glass of red wine. My first thought, if I drank that, I'll get a headache. That's a story I don't want to live.
All right, write down your thoughts before I'm starting to talk. Anything that you feel like you want to write down for yourself? All right. Let's start the analysis of the, let's say, first third. Naomi, you first. What did you notice? You were looking through the first lens, the aim and the teaching points. What did you notice?
Well, I think she jumped in immediately with it, with one of the points, which is the power of business. I didn't write down the first thing she said. I forgot it. I don't know if anybody wrote it down or if you want to tell me again, Nilsa, but I remember it being really impactful, and it just sucked me in right away, but I didn't write it down. But I know what I got from this first part is the power of business and serving others. So I think this has a lot to do with it. And then she talked about the story of getting on the plane to go meet Barry Baumgartner, which I'm like really excited about, by the way. So I'm looking forward to hearing the rest, but that's kind of what I got so far.
Beautiful. And I love the energy, right? You remember, Linda, also last week, right? The way people perceive your story is probably not how you envisioned it, because that's almost never. But the way people are going through it is so important. So this is a lot of data for you as well, Nilsa. All right, Patrice, what can we learn about the stories?
I have down travel. Is it Boston? Travel to Boston? Or I didn't get the city. I was still in the first sentence. She said she traveled to
Going to Charleston, yeah.
Charleston. Exactly. Okay, Charleston. Self-dialogue in her journey. She'd start having a self-dialogue. So she might have a story self-dialogue when she was in the zone and then start thinking about what this means to her. And then she got a gate encounter, right? When she was visioning a person walking to the gate with she holding a glass of wine, she was asking herself questions. So she might have a story like gate encounter, a glass of wine at the gate, or watching passengers, something like on that line. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. So, and this is the fun part of doing this all together. Like based on what Nilsa just did, and Patrice, if you would be Nilsa and I would pull up your story library, I'm already hearing 3. Correct? Now I know that some of you everybody else was not focused on stories, but just based on what you were listening on. Who had also 3 stories that they noticed? Some of you. Who had more than 3 stories? No one. Who had less than 3 stories? Fascinating. All right, so what I would put on if I would be Nilsa in this case, I would have 1. And the reason why I say this, there's no right or wrong, but I just want to emphasize this for the use of the story library. The use of the story library is not to pinpoint every micro minor story. The use of the story library, why I invented it, is because you help yourself remember. So in Nilsa's case, when I pull up the story library, I would probably have, the title that I would give it would be Flight Charleston. And then maybe even like in between brackets, red wine. And not because the red wine was so important, but I will remember as a person, as being Nilsa, I will remember what I meant with that story. So now when I click on the story, and I'll actually do it for a moment, just to really show you, because once you start to understand how to use the tool and not let the tool use you, it's going to be so, so nice. So let me share my screen one more time. This is my personal story library, right? So there's like, oh, Oh, I have some tags in it right now. Let me get them away just to show you like how many there are. Right? It never ends, never ends. Right? So this is not to brag with your story library. It's not a contest, but it's more to show you what the use of it is. When I say catch big fish, Tenerife Bart, do you know what I mean with that? Yes or no? No, of course not. But do I remember what I meant with this? Most probably. Now, when is this going to be useful? When you build your talk and you pick the right stories, and you're like, I'm missing one story. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel complete. We can look through different lenses. The lenses that are part of step number 2 that are all within your course that says these are the elements how we pick the right story. It needs to be connected to the aim, right? It needs to teach the teaching point. But you also kind of want to have a nice balance between the 3 different C's, right? Now, when I look at this story in my story library, I honestly don't completely remember the point I want to make with the story, but I remember the scene. Bart is my brother. He visited me in Tenerife where I was living. My brother, flew in to spend time with his sister. And I said, Bart, whatever you want to do, the time is yours. Like, I'm living here, so whatever you want to do. And he said, Lori, I want to go fishing with you. The activity that we did as like 4-year-olds with our grandparents was like the cutest thing ever. So this is now what I remember. Now let's look at my story library. What my idea was with this story. Because now I help myself, right? So I remember, oh, this can be like such a cool story because I saw Jackie already like, oh, right? This is a super big community piece. It's a super big community. It's a super big coolness story as well. Because I'm talking about being a digital nomad, right? So there's these different C's that come back into this story. So now I help myself. I'm like, okay, teaching points. Am I even showing Lori, this can be a lot of things. Know how your brain works. This can be bring people with you on the journey. So now I remember what I mean with that, because my brother is really good with numbers and he always helps me with my numbers. So even though he's not like the enthusiastic one, he's very, very like in his head and logical, we find our connection between what he loves and what I love, and we find a mix. So bring people along the journey could be the point of this story. When you want to fish bigger, get yourself new water, move. All right, we were fishing tuna and we didn't cut it until we got the boat in a different place. So we got new fish and we actually got. That could be a point of the story. Change your strategy to get different results. I remember that I was not catching any, and my brother was catching all of them, and it was so annoying to me. So I started looking what his strategy was, and he was going way deeper with his hook. So I did deeper, and it still didn't work, but anyways. And use each other's talents. So this is a fun one, because now I remember the story points because I bullet pointed what I need to remember from the moment. Bart visiting me in Tenerife, wanted to go fishing. And this is the fun part. Bart, my brother, caught all the small fish, but though that was bait. And I didn't catch any of it, like none. And I think he had like 25. It was like so annoying to me. But then we were using the bait to catch the big fish, the tuna. And that's kind of where I got in. And this was the tuna, and this is my brother. This was quite a while ago. But this is what we actually done. So now I use the title to remind myself of the story. In the teaching points, I tell myself, hey, Lori, I know you're squander mind. Like, just know that this story you can use for these things. I just want to help you already because you will be busy when you create your keynote. You're not maybe in your creative mood. Now I'm in my creative mode. So I help you out already. These are the story points that you want to remember. And this is a photo, if I want to use a photo on the dia, but this is all extra. So again, the story library for all of you is to help you remember the moment. It's not like a checklist on your graduation sheet for the Public Speaking Academy that I'm going to go, oh, this was actually 2 stories. You did it wrong, right? It's a tool. is really a tool to help you. So is Nilsa's story just one? No. For Patrice, it's 3 for you. And that's perfect. It's not good. I just want to show you how to use the tool so it benefits you. And it doesn't become like this place that you feel like I need to do this for Lori because she said so. No, you know why you're using it. You're using to your advantage. You're journaling all these moments because this was such a beautiful moment. And now I remember the story. I forgot about it. But now I remember it. I'm like, oh, most probably I will use this next time in the community, right? Or in a keynote tonight, I'll go to do something, right? So maybe I'll use this story. It's like, actually, we're talking about getting the big fish regarding business, but sometimes you first have to have a team in place that gets the small fish, so you as an artist can focus on the big fish. Just when I was in my right? So now we're using it, and I'm immediately associating because I helped myself remember. Does it make sense with a raise of hands? Does it make sense for everybody? How to use the story library. So good catch, Patrice. Now, team glue it all together. We've got a big one. Jackie, let's start with you. What did you notice about the opening and maybe a transition that you noticed?
This is, I don't know, there's a couple things, but I think a lot of it I was getting from Nilsa was about mindset, right? Being conscious of where she was and kind of controlling how she responded versus reacting to things. She was, which I loved. It was kind of, and she mentioned mindset, I think, in her verbiage as well, but really focusing on, you know, how can you witness new stories? So she was kind of the person kind of watching the whole choreography of what was going on around her so she could learn and move forward. That was what I got.
Beautiful, beautiful. And what did you notice about the way she opened? Let's just say that you're gonna up-level your opening. How can you learn from Nilsa's opening? What did you specifically?
You know, I didn't write down the first thing. She brought you into the story. I think which I loved. So you kind of joined her on the journey. You know, she talked about, you know, kind of she conveyed something about herself, which I loved, right? So you understood about her personally, but she brought you into her story as well. So now you're on the journey with her. Yeah.
Beautiful. And the fact that you don't completely remember, that can be either like a really, really bad thing or a really, really good thing. So either you were not aware, you were like, oh, I don't even remember. But I think in this case, she was doing it really right? So the fact that you're like, well, I don't really remember, but I was totally there. And Naomi, you said the same thing, right? I don't really remember what you said literally, but I was like all there. You know, that can be a really, really good thing as well. Mari, you raised your hand too. What did you notice?
I think when people bring you into their emotions, there's something very profound into it. It's like, you know, I think about negotiations that I do. People make decisions because of how they feel.
Yes.
And when she's saying, there's a feeling, you know, it's like, boom, I'm already in there. I want to see how Nilsa is feeling. What is going around her? I'm fascinated, you know?
Beautiful. So who felt that too? Who felt things when she was sharing it? And later on, we're going to explain you why. Because there's a strategy behind this, right? Like what I want to do for all of you is make the magical, like kind of like reveal the magic. Because when you understand how the magic is created, you can recreate the magic. Because there's tools and there's strategies behind this that Nilsa is doing really well, and we're gonna show you. Because maybe when you listen to it, it's like, whoa. And at some point you become more and more and more aware about the strategies, about the dialogue, about all these little nuances. And therefore you can replicate it yourself as well. Linda, what did you notice? Seemed glued all together. It's big.
So I've got to say, I was totally mesmerized. So I don't know if I got it glued together because she had all of everything. she had conversation, she had where she's going, you know, that she's building up that, well, the transition was that she's building it for that she's going to serve people and how she's learning to serve people. So I kind of probably didn't get as much as I could have on that area just because I was just so enthralled in her words.
That's awesome. That's such a good sign. That's such a good sign. Well done, Nilsa. Patrice, you have your hand raised. What up?
Yes, two things. First one, on the when you post the recording, if we want to practice again, can we have access to that same video, the link to that video, so we can like rewatch it and do the practice exercise over, like after class?
The practice, the full recording of the
Yeah, watch it and trying to do the practice again also. And second thing, I'm trying to get into your brain, and I just want to know, like, from public speaking to the mastery of the art, like, how did you train your brain other than practicing? Is there any other way you have trained your brain to look at things the way you look at it?
I think we have a very similar brain because I appreciate this kind of questions a lot. So what I'm getting is the question, Lori, how can I be the best speaker ever? And what can I put in my toolbox in order for me to do that?
Yeah.
Right? So let me just share one, but let's keep compounding these. So just ask it next week again, if you feel satisfied. And this is for everybody, by the way, right? With speaking, there's an art and there's a science. There's a science on the strategy, on the framework, on the aim, on all these things, on the storytelling. There's a science. There's steps. There's a curriculum. There's knowledge, and then there's an art. There's your personality. There is your personal stories. There's your personal glue. Like when me and Linda would be on the same stage, we would do it very, very differently, but we would both crush it, right? That's the art. Even if it's the same script, we would completely do a different performance. But then there's something overall that I want to focus on right now for you and for everybody else. There's this thing about being the speaker, about embodying the worth and the power of influence that you have in that beautiful position. And what I mean with that, and I'm going to try to quantify it because I think that's what you're looking for as well, is let's just say that the script is right, the personality, like you've worked, you really practiced. The moment when you're at a point where 80% of your headspace is not needed anymore for remembering, for scripting, for creating, for performing, you can be busy with being. And that's really where you can prime your mind to already, is knowing that you are the person who deserves the stage. And knowing that you are a person who is there for the inspiration and the transformation of the people in front of you. So what I do, and this is like, I would not call it a daily practice, but this is something that I'm personally very aware of. And I don't want to dive too deep into this, Patrice, but I do want to notice it because it's really important. When we are looking at when we are most influential as human beings, when the door to our subconscious, the place where all the stories live about us being a speaker lives, that is most changeable right before we go to sleep, right after we wake up, or during our sleep. So something that I'm doing now for years is I give myself an exercise for when I'm sleeping. So I know it sounds maybe weird, Jackie, but I think this might be really freaking powerful because it's really working out for me really well, is when you go to sleep, don't think about what you need to do, what's in the calendar for the next day, but like, what are my biggest dreams? And for me, the stage is always part of it. So I envision myself on that stage and I'm like, okay, where tonight am I going to speak? Let me do this now already in my dream, but literally while I'm asleep. So I just think that right before I go to sleep, which influences on a like alpha, theta, delta brainwave, you don't have to remember, but it's just where we're most influential. So when we prime ourselves with what we most want and we feel that we're already it, we start to live it. And what I've noticed is when you do that right before you sleep, you have the most coolest dreams. And then later on the next day, you get these epiphanies and insights that I get back to, like, that's probably my sleep, you know, but that's what I tell myself to. So that would be one that I would acknowledge all of you to do, is to really envision yourself standing there and feeling how awesome you're going to do it. And for you, Patrice, because there are some specific stages that you shared with me in the beginning, like just put yourself there. And then one more, I'll actually share this in our WhatsApp group. I will not forget that. Is I created a movie for myself, a vision movie, and I watched it all the time too. And stages are part of that too. So I'll share that with you, with all of you. Was it helpful for everybody? Because it's really beautiful. And like, let's next week be the living, breathing moment for that. Because when Nilsa, Jackie, and Linda are on stage, envision that you are on stage. Don't just look at it dissociatively, like be it. When the MC says Linda Pernia, you're like, it's Patrice. Oh my God, I'm saying it. What am I gonna say? And then she's going, but you live it like it's you. When you do that, man, like stuff happens fast. Stuff happens fast. Mentally, and then new ideas come up, and then you see stories, and then it just comes together. All right, didn't think we would go into that, but what I want to do right now is I kind of want to start from the beginning again, and instead of asking you your insights, I want to kind of pause it and share why I think it's a really good thing, or what specifically you can learn from that. All right.
Sparks creativity, and that's thank you, Lori. The decision to challenge our thinking sparks creativity, and that's how we build businesses.
Boom. What Nilsa is doing really well, and this is what we practiced in our one-on-one prep session, is she's going to be introduced. Before she started with, thank you so much, I'm so grateful, I'm a little excited for this moment. And then I asked her, like, how much of what you're saying is focused on yourself and how much of what you're saying is focused on your audience? Because it's amazing that you're grateful for the opportunity, but as an audience, I want to learn something. So it's nice to be appreciative, but do it with the aim in mind. What's your aim? The aim is transformation for the people right in front of you. It's not about you being so grateful. So how can that be framed in a way where it's useful for the audience? So now she says, thank you, Lori, but, and she's going through it like right away. And this is what all of you want to do. When you go through the videos of the hook, how can you create a moment where it's immediately about the transformation and immediately captivating the audience and immediately in line with who you are? So I think Nilsa, this was so much better than the previous one. Well done.
There is a feeling so powerful when we make the decision to invest in ourselves, because we are really preparing to serve others. And that is how we become leaders in our industry. Have you ever done something so routine, so familiar, and yet suddenly in a different state, you receive a transformation worth sharing?
So what's nice about this is she's starting with a statement, and it's quite of like, whoa, like I also did not really remember it, right? It's kind of like a statement where you feel, and I just want to verify this with all of you, who felt certainty in the way she was sharing this, right? And as an audience, we want to follow, like the leader is often the one who's most certain in the room. It's not the one who knows the most. So as a speaker, especially when you're a little bit nervous and you're feeling like, like knowing, Nilsa, that you have a statement that you can open with, that you can prepare 10, 20, 100 times out loud, that you know, whenever Lori wakes me up, I got this sentence right. You're going to start with certainty. What you're doing right after is asking a question, but let's listen to what's coming. Let's listen to what's coming.
So basically, you do the same thing that you have always done, but then you feel different. You have more energy, you're more positive, and somehow you get this insight from it. Do you relate?
So what Nilsa does is she asks a question. What we focused on, and this is for everybody, when you ask a question, you are the leader on stage of attention. So where you direct your audience towards is where they will go. If you ask them a question, but it's not clear what you want from them, they're going to think, what does she want me to do? Do I need to raise my hand? Do I say something? Now you lost, because now they have their internal dialogue. You're not in the lead of attention. They have their own moment. You have to bring them back, and that's energy. We want to lead with flow and want to follow the journey for the entire time. We don't want to lose them in minute one. Make sense? So when she asked the question before, it was quite fast and it was not short enough to comprehend easily. So what she's doing now is she asked the question and then she transitions. This is Team Glue It All Together. She transitions with the words, so basically ... Right? So she asks a question, then she says, so basically, repeats the question in different language. And then, and this is what we practiced with Linda before, right? We won't give you feedback on this, Nilsa, because this is not what you focused on yet, but you can play with the way you're gonna say this. So what I would say, for example, is the first question, do that a little slower, the pace, or like your current pace. And the second question, a little faster and a little shorter. So now it's not like we say one thing, we repeat the entire thing. We make the point. We confirm the point. We don't need to have the same pace, the same time, the same drive for that. Does it make sense for everybody? Do you understand why? Right? When you have interaction, be the leader from stage.
It happened to me a few weeks ago. I am on my way to Charleston to meet with Barry Baumgartner and 29 other entrepreneurs.
What is she saying? I am on my way. She's using present tense.
Where we're going to define our offer, content, and message.
I'm showing you how to do this. We're not going to do the super literal thing for the whole entire speech. Will take longer, but I want you to see how this goes. When we're looking through this, let me replay a little bit.
29 other entrepreneurs, where we're going to define our offer, content, and message.
Where we're going to create our content, offer, and message. What are ways that she can say the exact same thing, but also create pictures in their mind's eye of the audience? Again, pictures are processed way faster. Patrice, what are ways she can say the exact same thing, but also create a picture?
Here we are going to create continuous. Bring it in the present tense. Here we are. I'm in with the other entrepreneur, and here we are going to Charleston to create our offer and message for.
Yeah, so what specifically did you change there?
The past tense to present tense.
Okay, past to present. Yes, that's already leveling up. What else can she do to make this even more into a picture? Any ideas? Jackie, what do you got? I see you thinking.
Sorry, my mouse is dying. So I would think, that we're going to kind of sit around a room and strategize about our businesses would give me more of a visual of what they were doing. Yeah.
All right. Right. So we are going to talk about our content, about our messaging, right? And a suggestion could be, right? It's not a right or wrong, but I want all of you to see the difference. We're going to be in Charleston, and in one room, we're all going to strategize around our business. That's one way. What are other ways where we can make this even more visual? What do you got? What do you got, Nilsa, yourself?
Well, in the room, Barry's going to be working with us one-on-one, hands-on. It's sleeves up. I mean, we're not leaving the room until we have this done. And she's going to be present with us for those 3 days.
Yeah, yeah. So now the question is, and this is for all of you, like, because the fun part with you, Nilsa, you've experienced it. You know what you saw. And now it's like, okay, how do you then create that content that's not too much, visual enough, and makes the point? Luke, do you have any ideas?
Yeah, so a couple things came to my mind. First one is adjective, so exciting new content, dramatic new. What was the other words? It was content and something else.
Offer
Sorry,
content message.
Offer content message, so exciting offers, amazing content. The other way would be offer for our websites, content for our Instagram post, message for our speaking. So we contextualize the things we're going to create. So it's not just words, it's where they're going to be shown.
Yes, really, really good. And to add something to this before Caroline is, and this is where you can already kind of drop what you're doing, where I can communicate what I'm doing even more clearly with people. Because right now, around everything I've learned in my finance, 40 years of finance, CPA, this, I somehow am not yet understanding how to communicate that clearly to others. So when you do that, you immediately plant the seed of your credibility right in the beginning. Do we see that when you, right? So, and what I'm going to learn with Barry is how I'm going to answer the question, Nilsa, what do you do? Because right now I'm sharing about my 40 years of experience as a CPA. I'm sharing about the 5-7-figure businesses I've built, about this. And then I also want to, and it's like, it's not clear. So Barry's going to make sure that I'm able to answer that question clearly. Just as the 29. So there's not a right or wrong. There's different opportunities. What we want to do is that people are able to see it. When people see it, they connect it to a picture inside of their mind's eye. What Luke said, they can contextualize it, right? We can store it into a place where we can feel something with it. Creating content, like who feels like, oh my God, whoo. That's right into my heart, right? So we always want to make sure that we are creating pictures so people can associate with it. And the more we're doing that, because now we take quite some time for the first minute, but do we see how many nuances we can create in just 1 minute? That it's not about, give me 20 minutes. It's like, no. Let's use the 5 you have, just really well done. And think of every single nuance and over. And every time you run through it, you have more awareness of these little nuances, because this does take practice. This does take time. Cool. Shall we continue?
As usual, I am doing many things to be able to leave. I am behind on packing and running late to the airport. The dialogue in my head is
okay. One quick break here as well. Let's think of how can we make this more visual too. I'm running late for the airport.
As usual, I am doing many things to be able to leave. I am behind on packing and running late to the airport.
What is a way to say that even more specifically, where we can see and feel it? Any suggestions? Carolyn?
You could say, I'm afraid I'm going to miss my plane.
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm going to miss my plane. Beautiful. Naomi, any ideas? Oh, Mari, I saw you're unmuting yourself.
Kind of describe a little bit the situation. Figure me in my room. Everything is all over the place. I'm having my husband knocking on the door, telling me I gotta go, or something like that.
Beautiful.
It brings the person in your situation.
Yes, my husband is knocking on the door. Are you late again? Like, I see socks all over the floor. Your hair is messy, and the plane is leaving in 30 minutes. Nilsa, we need to go. Right? So now what is happening? My husband, is it a community piece or what? Right now, so now instead of saying I'm late for the airport, she says I'm late for the airport. She now can even say, and this is for you specifically, Nilsa, because again, we want to make this so specific. I'm still figuring out what glasses I'm gonna wear, because Nilsa, if you've noticed, like, she always have different glasses. Like, it's kind of her brand. So now she can use that. So now it's the coolness piece, the community piece inside of the same 1 or 2 sentences. Right? So instead of saying I'm late for the airport, she says, my husband is knocking on the door. Where are you? So she's using a dialogue. Where are you, Nilsa? Like, are you ready? And I'm just focused on, like, am I gonna use the purple glasses or the green ones? And I'm stressing out because don't want to miss this plane. Right? Do we all see how all of these things are, when we implement them, drama writing skills? I love it. And at the same time, and this is the most important one, you want to make this really much congruent with who you are, right? Like, as you all know, I'm quite like, I like to make it like, but like, let's make this more like you, Nilsa, while you're sharing it in present tense, while you're sharing specific examples that you actually go through. Right? Because do we all see how much more powerful it is if we do it in a more specific way? That's what I all want you to do. And again, I cannot emphasize this enough. The same with the present and the past tense. The more specific, the more associated. I worked with a woman who had a stroke, and she's a very smart woman, very smart woman. And she understood what I was saying when I said present tense. And then she would be like, Lori, I completely did it. And then I watched it. I'm like, you did not do it at all. Like, at all. Everything is past. So she was so uncomfortable reliving the stroke story that even though she thought she was doing it, she just could not. So these are the stories about speaking that we also need to be elegant with. Because it is not just do this. It's like, no, this is a process. And some people are implementing this really fast. And for some people, it's a journey. And whatever it is for you, it's perfect. We just don't want to quit. We just want to keep leaning in, right? All right, let's keep watching.
The dialogue in my head is running fast. You must play full out. You must ask questions and complete the goals. I knew what I had to do. Just needed to make sure I got myself in the right state.
Quick question. What did she do really, really well? Linda? What did she do really well?
Setting up the scene.
Setting up the scene? Yeah, what else? And you can help her.
Yeah, you could feel her emotion when she was saying that.
Yeah. So she was really congruent with that. What else?
She changed her tone.
She changed her tone. She was saying it like she was actually saying it to herself. Right? And I think we can make it even more extreme, right? So let's listen to it one more time. Patrice, drama lessons. Let's see this. You're gonna notice though the difference.
Just needed to make sure I got myself in the right state. And thank goodness for the innovation, like take full out. You must ask, you must. The dialogue in my head is running fast. You must play full out. You must ask questions and complete the goals. I knew what I had to do.
Right? So what you're doing really well is the dialogue in my head is running really loud. Right? So you could have said, I have a lot of thoughts around it. Same content, same point, different way. The dialogue in my head is really loud. Pause. Will I be on time for the airport? So then what I would do is I would speed it up and do it a little louder as well. Right? So the dialogue in my head is really loud. Will this be on time? What's going on? Ah! But I knew what I needed to do. So you make that contrast a little louder, again, in a way that feels authentic for you. Make sense? Who would love to practice this with a raise of hands? Like right now together? Carolyn. Okay, let's do it. Carolyn was first. You're close to you have to catch the plane, Carolyn. The dialogue in your brain is running really loud. You're going to share 3 thoughts and then you end with, but I knew exactly what I needed to do.
Would you repeat that, please?
The dialogue in my head is really loud. Let's start with that. The dialogue in my head is really loud. You share 3 thoughts. And then you end with, but I know what I need to do.
I'm really worried. I'm going to lose my plane. I'm really worried. I'm going to miss my plane. Oh my God. Then what happens? Then I have to find another plane. And then I'm going to be late for Barry. And then, oh my God. I don't need this today.
Is that fun?
I didn't know this was an acting class.
That was good. That's good. Naomi, now you.
Surprise.
Yeah, good job. Naomi, now you. Let's start with the dialogue in my head is really loud right now.
The dialogue in my head is really loud right now. I'm going to miss my plane. I'm going to forget something. I'm going to, not be able to show up as my full self. Oh my gosh. But I knew exactly what I needed to do. Change my state.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. There you go. Do we see the difference? Do we see the difference? And that Carolyn did it very different than me. That Naomi did it very different than me. Is there one more person who would love to try? Or love to do it, not try, do it. Patrice, let's go.
The dialogue in my head is running wild. Are you going to be on time for your plane? Are you going to miss this flight? Is this another day of drama again? No, we're not going to do this. You know what to do. Focus.
Let's go. That was good. Right? Do we see that everybody has their own way of doing it? But the point is that the outcome is achieved, that the aim, we're all going for the aim. The point is done, and that you can do it in your way. You don't have to have the script. Is it focus or is it state? For Nilsa, it's state. For Patricia's focus. Does it matter? No. It matters on the language that you want to use in your talk. Right? So that is why we use the science, but you have the absolute art. Do we also see, and Patrice, let's do it one more time. Let's do it one more time. The exact same thing that you just did now. I want the exact replica, please. Like exact, like the.
Okay, let's see if I remember. The dialogue in my head is running wild. Are you going to miss your plane? Is there another day for the drama? What's going on with you? Stop. Focus. You know what to do.
Nice. All right, this is gonna be an annoying question, but it's with a point. Was it exactly the same as he did before, yes or no? No, it was not. Was that a bad thing, yes or no? Not at all. This is why we're not needing to rehearse the script. Because Patrice, when you rehearse the script, you know exactly what words come after each other. But when you know, this is my aim, these are my story blocks, this is the point I want to make in this small point, when you know this is about the dialogue around the plane, do you need to remember the exact same way you're going to say it every single time forever? Or can you say exactly what you feel in that moment? What will come out more powerful?
Being authentic.
Right? So when you can do it in a way that you know you're bringing yourself, that's where people will really feel it. Because what you literally said, drama again, like who felt that when he said it, he was feeling it? It's probably language that he often used for himself or for others, because it was real. Now, if I say, Nilsa, these literal words, you need to now do them. It might not be words that Nilsa is using in her normal vocabulary. She would use a completely different one. She has a different vibe, and that's the goal. That's the goal. The goal is that you create a talk where you know my audience will be inspired. I'm using my personal stories, and I'm bringing me. I'm bringing me. Cool? It was okay if we're not finishing this whole entire video, but gets a lot out of like the super in-depth, right? Sometimes it's not about the whole entire thing, it's about like going deep. Let's go. You have some fun along the way as well. I love it. Let's keep watching.
Just needed to make sure I got myself in the right state. And thank goodness for the innovation like TSA and Clear. I was able to go through security and arrive at my gate just in time when they started boarding my zone.
So with the TSA, what I would say is this is really nicely specific, right? You had a little, like I certainly had it. She's creating a picture. She doesn't say, I come at the airport and I'm boarding. And fortunately, I am on time, right? But by picking that specific thing, she's creating again, like a moment in the now. Do we see that? That she's making a very clear picture.
As I boarded the plane and sat at my seat, I started scanning like a journalist, searching for a story.
All right, time travelers, what did we notice there? I saw some lips moving. Yeah, Linda.
It was past tense.
All right, what do we know about the difference between the past and the present?
You need to try travel. So if all she has to do is say, I am boarding the plane, or as I board the plane, thoughts are going through my head, the stories that I can find, or I wish I had that glass of wine now.
Okay, so the fun thing around the time is, again, when we share it, like I almost sometimes do it like this, like when you have a picture or like a painting on the wall, and like, what do you think of the painting? Well, over there, what I see is all of this. And when we are describing something that happened in the past, but it has not a goal that we want to talk about the past, we're creating like space between the experience for people and our words. When you're sharing it in the present, that's where people are able to relive it with you there. And we know from data that mirror neurons is a little sciencey, but really get activated when we're in active storytelling, right? So time traveling to something that happens now can be really, really enhancing the experience for the audience. Now, with that, I don't want to say always share like it's happening now, right? There's moments in storytelling where it can be useful. So when you're going to go through your own thing, what I said to Nilsa, to create an extreme, because everything, Nilsa, what you shared before was in the past. And now, and this was for you as well, Linda, now build the muscle of the present. So now I want you to do everything in the present. And what you're going to notice, and this is what you noticed, right, Linda, is even when you focus on it and do it obsessively, you still notice that you have stuff in the past. So you know, this is where I go to when I don't consciously think about it. What you want to do is you want to consciously think about it. In order for you to get that point, we first want to lean into doing it completely obsessively so you know you can get there. And then from that point, we will look, maybe you could do this actually in the past because of this and this and this and this. But we first want to go there. Does it make sense? In order for us to choose and get that contrast, we want to first get that contrast and feel comfortable with both sides. So the awareness on itself is beautiful. So well done, Linda.
The passengers are coming through with kids and pets, and I'm literally excited for this. I looked over at the woman next to me. She was enjoying a glass of red wine. My first thought, if I drank that, I'll get a headache. That's a story I don't want to live. Then I tilted my head back to my seat. Staring at me was the entertainment screen. I was tempted to see again, Dunstan checks in.
We're going into new territory. So focus on your lens you chose in the beginning. We're going to watch a new part. I know we're like more than an hour in, we got 3 minutes done. We're amazing. Okay, let's go.
It's hilarious. It's about a chimpanzee and all his adventures. And if you want to just have a great flight just laughing, this is the movie. But I was in a different state. I wanted to do something different. And there it was right in front of me. Something I can learn from. Delta CEO Ed Bastian giving a keynote at the Sphere in Las Vegas, celebrating 100 years of flight. I hit play. I thought I'll watch for a few minutes, looking for the nuances of how these authorities in their field started keynotes. And an hour and 24 minutes later, I was so engaged. The keynote was full of golden nuggets. It took me on a journey of transformation and possibilities. I got a glance into what businesses will look like 100 years from now. This is the story I want to share, the vision of the next 100 years. I can speak for hours about the emotional transformation I felt from the keynote, the excitement to see the parallel of the next 100 years of aviation with my industry finance. What I learned, I want to share with you so you can grow your business, your brand, and ultimately your legacy.
All right. Let's go through the lenses again. Naomi, what did you notice based on the aim and the teaching points?
So I guess I'm not sure, to be honest. I wrote a few things down of like being present and changing her state, but then when we jumped into new territory, it became about how inspired she felt about the keynote and the vision that she wants to bring in her field of business to help transform the people that she's serving. So that's kind of what I got.
Okay, so now we're pivoting from, okay, there was something around state and now we're going into finance, like we're figuring it out. All right, Patrice, your lens stories, what do you got? We're able to come on there.
The only story I have additionally was listening to Delta CEO keynote.
Yeah, yeah. So she was watching another keynote in the plane.
Yes.
Beautiful. What about the Glue It All Together team? Mari.
I just want to make a parenthesis, and this is really interesting. She's doing a frame within a frame. I've done that in films, okay? She's a keynote speaker. Think about this. But she's also talking about another person speaking. Okay. I don't know if anybody captured that, but that was really brilliantly done. Probably you didn't even think about it, but I thought it was very interesting. Visually, I was immersing myself in that, but also she could say after an hour and a half, I was like, wow, he must be darn good to talk. How the hell could he engage her that long? You know, the attention span when I'm doing a commercial is 30 seconds and people are already going on their phone. So I was like, wow, that's my parenthesis.
That's good. Isn't it fun that everybody experiences it in their own way? And that because you're learning how other people experience it, you can understand what the differences are between you and other people, so you can adjust to that as well. Beautiful one, Mari. What do we got more? Glue it all together. If there's nothing, that's an answer too. Jackie?
Yeah, I would say that going back to her mindset, right? You can zone out and be entertained, but her mindset was, I want to continue learning. And what she found is that she was listening to something that ended up giving her a transformative moment because she chose a different mindset and she did something that would help her to serve others. That's what I got.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And Nilsa, what did you self-identify based on the delivery?
What did I self-identify what I've delivered so far?
Yeah, because your lens was the delivery, right?
Well, my lens is there's this when we make the power of decision making. And as we continue to invest in ourselves and learn, and then that's how we are going to be able to serve others. But the most impactful thing of the keynote was how the vision was not today. The vision is the next 100 years.
So this is the perspective for you about the keynote, right? And what I would love to hear now is what is your, because when you listen to this, you chose the lens of delivery, correct? Like the optimization of the delivery, the dialogues, the time traveling. What did you personally notice about yourself until now?
Like on the well, obviously with all the feedback, there will always be areas for improvement. But I love that the audience captures the essence of what I'm trying to say. Jackie picked it up. It's the state, it's the learning. Naomi picked it up. Everybody picked up a piece of what I am trying to say, which I thought that is genius. And then Madi got into the in-depth of the feelings and the emotions and the frame and the frame.
Yeah.
And, and Linda everybody picked up something from it.
All right.
But in summary, it's the next 100 years. And that's what captivated me, because in the Western world, everything is linear. You get to a certain age and they just might as well just kick you off a bridge. No, in this world of business, it's the innovation. It's what's coming out in the next 100 years. And how can we today participate in that journey? That's what I'm trying to get at the end.
Let's listen to the end. So we're able to also feel like satisfied with what we've learned, because I'm also looking at the time and I want to make sure that we finish within the time. So hold your horses, keep your thoughts. We're going to watch it till the end, and then we're going to see what can we all learn from this.
So let me share these lessons with a question or two questions. What does the next 100 years of innovation look like in your industry? How can you build a foundation in your business today that has that vision embedded in your frameworks, roadmaps, and messages? Those are powerful questions to ponder, to percolate them, to see how you answer that, because the next 100 years can be impacted by your decision that you make today. Technology must enhance the human experience, not replace it. As we leverage technology and AI for our business growth, we must not compromise our voice. You're the only person that can do what you do the way that you do it. That is your biggest asset, you. And collaboration. As Delta partners with YouTube, with Uber and Uber Eats, the question that comes to mind is, who can we partner with? Who is in our network that can add value to our offers and to our customers? Every step we take forward is creating a ripple effect, even if we can't see it at the moment. I have been traveling for 3 decades. Just to give you some perspective, I am a 2,000 miler of American Airlines, and I have flown 500,000 miles on Delta. That's a lot of miles, a lot of traveling, and a lot of stories off the plane. I have never gotten off the plane with so much excitement, simply because I chose to learn and not do the same thing over and over again. If you recall the dialogue at the beginning of this keynote, well, I arrived at Charleston with a different mindset, full of excitement for what was coming. And when I entered the room the next morning, I took my seat at the table and I participated. I asked Barry questions and I got more than I could imagine, just because of the state and the excitement I was in. That's very powerful. I believe the next 100 years of finance will be accessible for everyone. People will have the opportunity to build their new financial identity aligned with their goals and vision. The new financial model will help people and business owners make more, keep more, give more, and live more. That's how I see the next 100 years of finance. I would love to hear what you can come up with in your industry. So I invite you. Here's an invitation. Everyone needs a compelling future. What does the next 100 years look like in your business industry? And how can you add your unique experience to it? Thank you.
All right, let's do one more round. 2 million miles. That's a lot of miles. Naomi, what do you got?
Oh my gosh, I feel so inspired. I'm ready to go like sit down at my computer and get to work on my business. But yeah, so going back to the beginning with the teaching point is like just the aim is like how we serve others and how we can innovate in our business and grow. I really love the final question. I think that wrapped it up for me, and it's very compelling. So I guess it's about the aim for me is about like how we envision our future and how we can use our business in a powerful way to really serve and inspire others to innovate and create.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. Do we all see how the aim and the teaching points are kind of like fluid based on how you design your whole talk? It's not like it's 1, 2, 3. It's kind of like you want to know this super specific, because when people listen to it, we want to help them specifically. But it can be layered through stories. And it doesn't need to be, so step number 1 is, step number 2 is, step number 3 is. That style really works for me though. Most of the time, I'm very, very specific with my 3 steps and I point them out. But Nilsa didn't do that, but it didn't bother, right? So you want to know what your point is, but you want to find your own way of delivering them. Well said, Naomi. Patrice, any stories you would love to add?
Be honest, I get absorbed by the talk.
Isn't that a good thing?
Yeah, I was living I was thinking as she was talking, which is something you have said. She talked about how you envision the 100 years of your life and the way you plan it, and then the rest of the talk was a background to my thought process. So she took me there. She never took me out of it for some reason, and then I just got stuck in there.
Yes.
But yeah,
Beautiful.
we will have a story probably in I don't know, the way you envision your life, the 100 years of your life, like to close, because she's calling you to think ahead of your time, to think, to plan your life ahead of time, and to see how you can innovate, how to embrace change instead of witnessing change from far distance and become obsolete very quick. So that's where you got me into a deep thought, and then I lost it. But that was beautiful. Thank you.
So good. And also to answer your own question from before, you're living into the future. When you envision things, when you're in that brain capacity that Nilsa brought you in, that's also where you are creating new reality. So that's what real transformational speaking is about. It's not about you guys, 3 steps. It's all about the future. Say future, 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 right? She brings you on a journey. She lets you feel the future. She lets you envision the future. She lets you live with the future. She's already exposing your mind to certain areas. She's traveling so much. You got inspired by that, right? So she's expanding your mind. The law of exposure. Once you're exposed to something, you can never be unexposed again, right? So you knowing that this is possible, that you can travel that much, like what does it do for you? Doesn't mean you need to do that. She's expanding your mind through stories. Beautiful. Team glue it all together, Linda.
I actually had a question more than gluing it all together for Nilsa. Was your underlying tone legacy, of the importance of legacy?
Yeah, I think it's legacy, and I got engaged in this keynote of Delta because it took me on a journey of possibility. And if I can today create those possibilities for the future, I am creating a generational legacy,
Yeah.
which I love. So I guess that's why I was there for an hour and 24 minutes. And then when I got on the plane back, I watched it again. And this time I took 100 notes from it. Because it's powerful what these big corporations can put together when they have these deep pockets. So they're in a room thinking, and they came up with the next 100 years. And the CEO is not going to be there he probably won't be there in the next 100 years, but he's planting the seeds for the next 100 years. And everybody in this room, regardless of age, can do that now. And that's very powerful for me.
Yeah. And let's sum it up and summarize it there, because again, I want to make sure that we stay within the time, is what Nilsa has done, and I want all of you to really, really notice that, is she used the story. Nilsa, when did you go to Charleston?
The weekend before Mother's Day, May 5th, May 6th. That was the other day.
right? So when she's going through this, going through the speaking academy, like all of you, she's noticing, oh, I am in a story right now. I can probably actually use this. Now she tried it out. We're like, okay, let's use this story for now. Will this be her, let's say she's going to do a TEDx talk. Will this be her TEDx? Most probably not, right? But maybe it is. But the flexibility and the understanding that she's creating by able to understand time traveling, I need to know this. Dialogue, I need to know this. 3 teaching points is there. I know how to open, I know how to close. If I say, Nilsa, next week, you're going to go live in front of everybody's going to watch. Can you please change the story of Charleston to something else? She might be a little bit like, well, you know, maybe not. But there will be a point where she's like, no worries. And that's the point that I all want for you. Because stuff happens. Stuff happens. You had 50 minutes, you will get 15. You were the first speaker, you were the opening, they want you third. You were the last one, they need you in the beginning. Stuff changes all the time. And if you can be the one who knows, I got this because I understand what I'm doing. I know how to adapt. I know how to use transitions all the time. I know how to loop my audience back in. If you practice the skill and you do it lens for lens for lens for lens, you can add new lenses. But you also know that you can own the first ones wherever you go, whoever you speak to. So for all of you, we looked ahead at what's happening next week. Jackie, Nilsa, and Linda are going to speak live. So all of us are going to watch. You will get the right link to click on. First, it will be the streaming. Then it will be the Zoom room for everybody. So if you're watching or speaking afterwards, we will come back into this Zoom. We will evaluate. And for the people who are not yet speaking, really listen to how you listen to now, how you listen to today. What can you learn? What are you seeing that people improved of the stuff that you've already seen? How are they time traveling? How are they opening? And how can you put that into your keynote? Cool? All right, let's finish off with an invitation to create your video like we always do. Number 1 question you're going to answer is what? Whoa. What is the aha? Nice one, Carolyn. What was an aha or breakthrough right now from this class, from this workshop? Number 2.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do before we see each other next? Are you going to get 50 stories in your library? Are you going to rehearse your talk out loud because next week is your week? What are you going to do? And number 3, who in this group are you most grateful for and why? Why? Speaking is still the number 1 fear of humankind. Let's not forget it. Let's not forget that Nilsa, Linda, and Jackie are super brave to do this. And that there has not been a speaking academy where I did not have a call right before saying, Lori, I don't think it's my time, girl. So know that, like, however good you are, how long you're doing it, it always creates some sort of tension. And just know that it's part of the process and that this group got you. So record that video, share it in the WhatsApp group, and we're going to see each other next week. All right? Let's go. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.